Lily sat cross-legged on her bed, the glow of her phone illuminating her face in the dimly lit room. Her fingers danced across the screen, crafting the perfect caption for her latest post.
Filter, check.
Hashtags, check. Living my best life, she whispered, clicking upload. But behind the carefully curated image was a truth she kept hidden, a feeling of emptiness she couldn't shake. Lily lived in a world of likes, comments, and notifications, where every moment had to be perfect. And yet, she often felt more alone than ever. Downstairs, her mom, Sarah, called out, "Lily, dinner's ready." Her voice carried the warmth of a woman who tried her best but couldn't seem to bridge the growing gap between them. 2 seconds. Lily shouted back, not even looking up. 2 seconds turned into 20 minutes, as it often did, leaving Sarah to prepare dinner alone. When Lily finally made her way downstairs, Sarah handed her a knife and asked for help chopping vegetables. "Careful with that knife, sweetie." "Here, let me show you," Sarah said, her voice filled with gentle concern. Lily rolled her eyes. "Mom, I'm fine. By the way, there's this amazing concert coming up next weekend. Can I go? Please?" "A concert? Again? Didn't you just go to one last month?" Sarah's tone shifted, a mix of curiosity and frustration. "That was ages ago. This one's different. It's Coldplay. Everyone's going." Lily's excitement was palpable, but Sarah sighed, her face etched with worry. "Lily, I don't think this is a good idea. Your grades have been slipping, and I'm worried. Worried about my grades, my future, my phone usage. It's always the same with you." Lily snapped, her voice trembling. "You never understand me. You just want me to live in your boring, unplugged universe." Sarah paused, trying to stay calm. "I just want what's best for you, Lily. That's all." But Lily wasn't listening anymore. She grabbed her plate and stormed off to her room, leaving Sarah standing there, staring at the empty space where her daughter used to laugh and share her day. Upstairs, Lily stared at her phone, scrolling through pictures of friends who seemed to have it all. Her own life felt like a performance, each post carefully edited to hide the cracks. She let out a frustrated sigh and whispered to herself, "Maybe I like the girl I am online better than the one I am here." Meanwhile, Sarah sat at the kitchen table, her hands gripping her cup of tea. She remembered a time when she and Lily could talk for hours, share dreams, and laugh until their sides hurt. "What happened to us?" she murmured, her voice barely audible. Neither of them realized it, but they were both yearning for the same thing, connection. The question was, could they find it before the distance between them grew too wide to cross? The house was unusually quiet that night. Lily lay in her bed, her phone resting on her chest as she stared at the ceiling. The words she'd said to her mom replayed in her mind, but she quickly pushed them away. "She doesn't get it," Lily mumbled to herself. She picked up her phone again, scrolling aimlessly through endless posts. Pictures of perfect vacations, flawless outfits, and glowing smiles flooded her screen. Everyone looked so happy. But why didn't she feel the same? Downstairs, Sarah was tidying up the kitchen, her hands moving mechanically as her thoughts wandered. She glanced at the empty dinner table, remembering how it used to be the heart of their home. Back then, they'd share stories, laugh at silly jokes, and even argue over the last piece of garlic bread.
But now,
dinner felt like a formality, something to check off the list. She sighed, wiping her hands on a towel, and stared out the window. The moonlight bathed the yard in a silvery glow, but it couldn't brighten the growing void between her and Lily. Upstairs, Lily opened a drawer and pulled out her guitar. She strummed a few chords absent-mindedly, but the sound felt hollow, like her heart wasn't in it anymore. Her mom had always encouraged her to play, saying music was a way to express herself. But now, even her music felt like another thing she had to be perfect at. She set the guitar down and grabbed her phone again, opening the camera. "Hey guys," she began, forcing a smile. "Welcome back to Living with Lilies." Her voice wavered, and she quickly stopped recording. No. It's all wrong," she muttered, deleting the clip. She tried again, but nothing felt right. Meanwhile, Sarah climbed the stairs slowly, hesitating outside Lily's room. She raised her hand to knock, but stopped. What would she even say? Lily, she whispered under her breath, how do I reach you? Her fingers brushed against the door, but she turned and walked back downstairs, her shoulders heavy with unspoken words. In her room, Lily stared at her screen, her eyes stinging from the bright light. She tossed her phone onto the bed and rubbed her temples. Her chest felt tight, like she couldn't breathe. Why is this so hard? She whispered. She looked around her room, her gaze landing on a dusty box in the corner. Curiosity stirred inside her, and she got up, pulling the box into the middle of the room. Inside, she found old photos of her mom, pictures of her laughing with friends, playing guitar, and even sporting wild pink streaks in her hair. Lily blinked in disbelief. Mom had pink hair, she murmured, a faint smile tugging at her lips. She flipped through the photos, her heart softening as she saw a side of her mom she'd never known. Downstairs, Sarah sat on the couch, flipping through an old family album. She stopped at a picture of a younger Lily, grinning with her arms around Sarah's neck. Tears welled up in her eyes as she traced the photo with her finger. Where did my little girl go? She whispered. Upstairs, Lily held one of the photos tightly, her mind racing with questions. For the first time in a long time, she wanted to talk to her mom. But how could she, when it felt like they were worlds apart? Lily sat on the floor with the photos spread out around her, each one revealing pieces of her mom's past she never imagined. There was one of Sarah sitting on a fence, laughing with a guitar in her lap, and another of her surrounded by friends at what looked like a concert. Lily tilted her head, studying the carefree expression on her mom's face. It didn't match the person she knew now, the one who always seemed to worry about rules, grades, and schedules. Who is this? Lily muttered, running her fingers over the worn edges of the photos. At the same time, Sarah remained on the couch, gripping the family album. She could hear faint rustling upstairs, but she didn't want to disturb Lily. Flipping to another page, she came across a handwritten letter she'd forgotten about. It was from her own mother, written years ago, filled with words of encouragement during a tough time in her teenage years. You'll understand one day, the letter read, that the hardest part of being a parent is watching your child struggle and knowing they have to find their own way. Sarah felt a lump form in her throat. Upstairs, Lily's curiosity got the better of her. She opened her mom's old diary, flipping to a random page. The neat handwriting described sneaking out to meet friends and skipping a class to go to the record store. Lily's eyes widened. She did what? She whispered, a laugh escaping her lips. But as she read on, the entries grew more serious. Sarah had written about the fear of disappointing her parents and how hard it was to live up to their expectations. I just want them to see me, one entry read. Lily's smile faded, her stomach twisting. Is that how Mom feels about me? She wondered aloud. Meanwhile, Sarah glanced at the stairs, torn between giving Lily space and going to her. She thought about the concert Lily wanted to attend, and a pang of guilt hit her. Had she been too strict? She wasn't sure anymore. The gap between them felt like an ocean, and she didn't know how to swim across it. Lily placed the diary back in the box and stood up, pacing her room. Her thoughts raced. Maybe she and her mom weren't as different as she'd always believed. But just as she felt ready to go downstairs, her phone buzzed. A notification lit up the screen, a comment on her latest post. Your life is so perfect. Wish I could be you. Lily stared at it, her chest tightening. Perfect. That word felt heavier every time she heard it. She opened her feed, scrolling through her posts. The smiling faces, the posed pictures, the flawless moments, it all felt so far from the mess she was living. Sarah, still downstairs, heard Lily's footsteps creak above her. She thought about going up but hesitated. Would Lily even listen? Or would it just turn into another argument? Both mother and daughter sat in their separate spaces, each holding pieces of the other's story, each too afraid to take the first step toward bridging the silence. Lily sat on the edge of her bed, the box of memories still open on the floor. Her phone buzzed again, but she ignored it, her mind too clouded by the diary's words and the photos of her mom's younger self. She felt like she was seeing Sarah for the first time, not as her mom, but as someone who had her own struggles, dreams, and insecurities. The thought was unsettling, yet comforting. Could it be that her mom wasn't as different from her as she'd always believed? But before she could decide what to do, a louder buzz caught her attention. A call from her best friend, Jess. "Lily, you won't believe it." Jess's voice was electric. "I got the concert tickets. We're all set." Lily's stomach dropped. "Wait, what? I didn't even say I could go yet." "Don't worry about that. You'll figure it out," Jess said dismissively. "Everyone's going. It's going to be epic. You can't miss this, Lily." Lily hesitated, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. She wanted to go more than anything, but the argument with her mom loomed over her. "I don't know, Jess," she said weakly. "What do you mean you don't know? You've been dying to see Coldplay." "Don't let her ruin this for you," Jess urged, her tone sharper now. Lily hung up without answering, tossing her phone onto her bed. Her heart pounded as guilt and frustration swirled inside her. She wanted to scream. Why did everything have to be so complicated? Downstairs, Sarah sat with the family album open in front of her, staring at the photo of Lily as a little girl. She thought about how much had changed since then. Her phone dinged softly on the table, and she saw a notification from a parenting forum she'd joined months ago but rarely visited. The post was titled, "How to Reconnect with Your Teenager." She clicked on it, skimming through stories of parents who felt just as lost as she did. A particular comment caught her eye. "Sometimes, we have to meet them where they are instead of waiting for them to come to us." The words lingered in her mind as she closed the album and stood up. She wasn't sure what to do, but she couldn't sit idly anymore. Lily, meanwhile, grabbed her guitar and began strumming softly, hoping to drown out her thoughts. The sound was raw and imperfect, but it filled the room like a heartbeat. She started to hum a melody, letting the music carry her emotions. But halfway through, her fingers froze. She remembered her mom teaching her that chord when she was younger. The memory hit her like a wave, pulling her back to simpler times. Before she could stop herself, she stood up and walked to her bedroom door. Her hand hovered over the doorknob, her pulse quickening. She wanted to talk to her mom, to share everything racing through her mind. But what if it ended in another argument? Sarah, now standing at the bottom of the stairs, looked up toward Lily's room. She heard faint music and felt a flicker of hope. Taking a deep breath, she started climbing the stairs, each step filled with determination. As Lily opened her door, she nearly collided with her mom, who was about to knock. They both froze, eyes locking, as an unspoken tension filled the space between them. For a moment, neither of them said anything, the weight of their emotions too heavy to put into words. "Mom," Lily started, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lily, Sarah said at the same time, her voice trembling. The silence stretched, both of them teetering on the edge of saying everything or nothing at all. Lily and Sarah stood frozen in the doorway, the silence between them louder than any argument they'd ever had. For a moment, Lily considered retreating back into her room, but something in her mom's eyes stopped her. There was no judgment, no anger, just the same exhaustion and uncertainty she felt herself. "Mom, Lily hesitated, her fingers clutching the edge of the door. "I was going to come talk to you." Sarah's shoulders relaxed slightly. "I was coming to talk to you too," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I feel like I'm losing you, Lily." Lily looked down, guilt gnawing at her. "You're not. It's hard, Mom. I feel like you don't understand me. Like you don't even try to." "I know it feels that way," Sarah admitted, her voice thick with emotion. "And maybe I haven't been the best at showing it. But I'm trying, Lily. I really am." Lily stepped back, letting her mom into the room. Sarah's eyes fell on the open box of photos on the floor, and her breath caught. "Where did you find these?" "In the closet," Lily said quietly. "I didn't mean to snoop, but I guess I was curious. I didn't know you used to be so like me." Sarah laughed softly, shaking her head. "Oh, I wasn't like you. You're so much braver than I ever was. But I had my moments," she added, glancing at the photo of her with pink streaks in her hair. I thought you wanted me to be perfect, Lily said, her voice cracking. To live this life where I don't mess up, where everything's controlled. Sarah knelt beside the box, picking up the diary Lily had been reading. Lily, I never wanted you to be perfect. I just didn't want you to make the same mistakes I did. She paused, her fingers brushing over the cover. But maybe I've been so afraid of that. I forgot you need space to make your own. Lily sat down across from her, the tension in her chest loosening just a little. I feel like I can't breathe sometimes. Like everything I do has to be flawless, or people won't like me. Sarah looked at her daughter, tears welling in her eyes.
Oh, Lily.
You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Not online, not to me, not to anyone. She reached out, placing her hand over Lily's. The people who love you, they'll love the real you, messy and all. Lily felt a tear slip down her cheek. I don't even know who that is anymore, she whispered. Sarah pulled her into a hug, holding her tightly. We'll figure out together. I promise. For a moment, it felt like the gap between them had finally closed. But then Lily pulled back slightly, her brows furrowing. Mom, your bracelet. The one Grandma gave you. Where is it? Sarah blinked, caught off guard. I don't know. I didn't even realize it was missing. A chill ran down Lily's spine as she stood up, scanning the room. You always wear it. You never take it off. Sarah looked around too, confusion turning to worry. Maybe it fell somewhere. Or, her voice trailed off, unease creeping in. Lily's phone buzzed on the bed, breaking the moment. She picked it up, frowning at the screen. A message from an unknown number flashed across. Asterisk, sometimes, we lose things to find what really matters. Asterisk. Lily's heart skipped a beat, her fingers trembling as she showed the message to her mom. Sarah's eyes widened, her voice barely a whisper. Lily, who sent that? Lily stared at the message, her pulse racing. The words seemed cryptic, almost too perfect for the moment. I don't know, she said softly, glancing at her mom. Do you think someone's messing with us? Sarah's lips pressed into a thin line as she took the phone from Lily, reading the message again. I don't know who would, but it's strange. She set the phone down and looked around the room. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Let's not jump to conclusions. Lily nodded, though unease lingered in the pit of her stomach. She reached down, picking up the photos again, trying to focus on something else. One of them caught her eye. Her mom was wearing the bracelet, the one that was now missing. You're wearing it here, Lily said, showing Sarah. Sarah smiled faintly, brushing her fingers over the image. Your grandmother gave me that bracelet when I was your age. She used to say it was a reminder to hold onto what's important. Her voice softened. Maybe I've forgotten that lately. Lily's chest tightened. Mom, I'm sorry. For everything. I've been so caught up in, I don't know, trying to be someone I'm not. Sarah pulled her into another hug, her voice steady and warm. And I've been so busy worrying about who you might become, I didn't see who you already are. We've both made mistakes, Lily. But we're here now. That's what matters. For a while, they stayed like that, the room filled with a silence that no longer felt heavy. When they finally pulled apart, Lily took a deep breath. I want to show people the real me, she said. Not just the version that gets likes. Sarah smiled. That's a good start. Later that evening, as they sat together in the living room, flipping through the family album, Lily picked up her phone. She hesitated, her thumb hovering over the camera app. Then, with a small smile, she turned the lens toward them. Can we take one? Just us. No filters, no captions. Just real. Sarah chuckled and leaned in. Of course, the picture wasn't perfect. The lighting was uneven, and their hair was a little messy, but when Lily looked at it, she felt a warmth she hadn't in a long time. She saved it, not for social media, but for herself. As the night wore on, Sarah suddenly laughed, holding up her wrist. Lily, look. The bracelet was there, right where it always had been, hidden under the sleeve of her sweater. Lily stared in disbelief before bursting into laughter. You've got to be kidding me. We just freaked out over nothing. Sarah joined in the laughter, her eyes crinkling with joy. Maybe this is the universe's way of reminding us not to lose sight of what's important. Lily nodded, leaning her head on her mom's shoulder. I think we'll be okay, Mom. And in that moment, they both knew the gap between them had finally been bridged, not by perfection, but by the messy, beautiful truth of who they really were.